To say that the Hulk's movie debut was an acquired taste is an understatement, and I don't mean that movie debut. I'm talking about Ang Lee's Marvel feature Hulk, a thoroughly expensive attempt to bring the not-so-jolly Green Giant to the screen back in 2003. While the film did a decent job overall at the box office, it left audiences feeling a little numb, and after a reboot and the Avengers, Hulk is now seen as a failure by most, and it's about as popular as the Fantastic Four are now, until they get rebooted. Hopefully, this doesn't age well. Now, I'm not about to simply praise the film and tell you it's the best Hulk film there could have been. It's still kind of flawed. It's much too long, maybe it takes itself a little too seriously and the art house style is overdone at times, but I would argue it's still pretty darn good. I honestly find very few things wrong with the cast. Some said Erica Bana was a little bland as Bruce Banner, but I thought he did a decent job, especially considering he's an Australian comedian and he had to be neither Australian nor funny in this film. Jennifer Connelly makes a far better love interest than Liv Tyler in the reboot, and Sam Elliott's mustache is captivating. Look how well trimmed it is. Wow. A lot of people point to the mutant dog scene as one of the main reasons why the film sucks. Okay, so the reboot had the Abomination, but it's not like Nick Nolte's dogs are the main villains here. They just show up in one scene, and seeing the Hulk fight 3 steroid-infused dogs is pretty darn entertaining. Look at this one's face! Oh my god! And I like how Hulk doesn't give a shit and just kills the crap out of them, knocking them around, using them like baseball bats until they burst into green smoke. It's both brutal and hilarious. Ang Lee was inspired by the likes of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein, Beauty and the Beast, and Greek mythology for this film, but also King Kong. The scene where the Hulk grabs Jennifer Connelly is an example, as is this scene, and the fact he escapes and runs to the city where he creates a fair amount of damage before being rejected by society altogether. It's one of the more downbeat and tragic superheroes, so that parallel certainly made sense. I should point out that Nick Nolte is batshit insane in this film, and probably the man himself as well as his character, because he's just too good at acting nuts. He plays Bruce's father David Banner here, and essentially he's the mad scientist of the movie. He's constantly experimenting on animals and himself, looking like a furry hobo throughout, and eventually becoming the film's main villain. There's a fun cameo in the movie, by the way, with Stanley and Lou Ferrigno walking around chit-chatting. That's pretty cool. I like the music in this film. Fresh off scoring the first Spider-Man movie, Danny Elfman took on the Hulk and delivered a daringly unbombastic theme more akin to Bernard Herrmann's classic Vertigo score than anything else. Ang Lee didn't want something typically heroic, which is why Elfman went for a slow descent into madness rather than the usual action movie fare. The first half of the film is certainly more full of talk than the second, but when the action kicks in, it's pretty awesome. You've got the Hulk throwing tanks around, destroying helicopters, jumping on the Golden Gate Bridge, riding fighter jets, traveling underground like Bugs Bunny, running freakishly fast. Some say the effects are dated, but I disagree. I think they still look pretty good. The look of the Hulk himself may be less realistic than the current one, arguably, but I still find him truer to the comic books than this roided out beast. But I guess this all depends on which Hulk comics you like. There are a lot of cool visual effects in this movie, some of them quite subtle. This shot where the Hulk shrinks back to normal is still pretty impressive, and it melted our minds back in the day. Bottom line, this is a good looking movie, and with a budget of over $137 million back in the day, it should be pretty good looking. This film has a unique art style. Ang Lee goes all out with Hulk in terms of visuals. Whether it's a simple transition or a full sequence, he's always doing something experimental and interesting. He's constantly toying around with split screens, giving the film a true comic book feel. And some of those wacky transitions actually broke my brain back in the day. Look at this one. What the hell? 1 second he's looking at a picture, the next he's literally in the picture that is moving while he's still holding the picture. What? Then there's this one. Add to that some bizarre dream sequences involving space jellyfish and you've got yourself one hell of a trippy movie. In a good way. One thing I love is that Ang Lee does take the Hulk seriously. Some said perhaps too seriously, but I don't see anything wrong with going a bit dark or a bit more psychological with a superhero movie. After all, isn't that why we like the Batman movies? I get that nowadays Marvel movies tend to be a bit more lighthearted and action oriented, and the dark ones tend to be terrible. But this movie shows that Hulk isn't just some big dumb green beast who enjoys the odd Hulk smash now and then. Ang Lee makes a genuine attempt to develop the Hulk story and look deeper into Bruce Banner's psychological change while telling a tragic story of fathers and sons, or fathers and daughters if you count the Sam Elliott-Jennifer Connelly relationship. Plus, he makes the character the unwanted superhero that he is, again, a bit like Frankenstein. The Incredible Hulk delivered the spectacle audiences wanted, but I would argue that this Hulk works much better since he's more emotionally complex and therefore you can relate to him and feel for him much more. Regardless, it's refreshing to see an arty director take a simple comic book story and really explore its themes for once, in a really original way. Hulk may not be everyone's favorite Marvel movie, but it's certainly one of the most underrated, in my opinion. Oh my god, is that the Hypnotoad?
All glory to the Hypnotoad!